Hey guys, welcome back to Path of Exile. I'm super late for this one. The Crucible is already out. But as always, I like to stay up to date with Path of Exile, even though I won't be playing this league. I don't think so. I'm way too busy. But I want to, stay up to date, see what's going on. Like
In
I said,
Path
the
of Exile
trailer
Crucible, you'll
came
learn
out
about
God
an
knows when.
ancient race of titans who once shaped the primordial surface of Rayclust.
Okay.
In this league, you will earn the ability to forge their power onto your weapons.
Cool.
And what form does that power
enchantments?
take? In an iconically Path of Exile way, it's the ability to imbue your weapons with their own passive skill trees. These Crucible trees can have quite an impact on your character build.
Shut up.
For example, in addition to the regular mods on this bow,
Oh
its Crucible
my
tree grants
God.
additional physical damage, physical to chaos conversion, the Master Fletcher notable passive, improved grace effect, and level 10
Wow.
lesser multiple projectiles. While this is certainly a decent tree to get, it's not even the maximum depth and could be even more optimized for your build.
That's insane. I'm blown away.
In order to forge these powerful trees onto your
I'm blown
weapons,
away.
you'll need to complete Crucible encounters. There's one in each area. Each encounter takes place at a Crucible forge. As you approach the forge, you'll have the choice of which of your equipped weapons you want to focus on. This can include ones on your alternate weapon swap if you want to improve one you're not currently using.
Cool.
After selecting a weapon, you channel it at the Crucible forge to spawn monsters. The longer you channel for, the more dangerous and rewarding the encounter becomes. As you spawn additional monsters, they combine together to create larger and more fearsome foes that grant even more experience for your Crucible passive tree.
This sounds
Being
like
able to
fun.
ramp up the difficulty of the encounters is a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
While
as
it gives you
always.
the opportunity to make rapid progress on your Crucible weapon crafting projects, it comes with significant risk to your character.
Obviously.
It's easy to accidentally overwhelm yourself and make an encounter that is too dangerous. Channel carefully and adapt to what your character is capable of.
This looks awesome, man.
When you first find a weapon, it doesn't have a Crucible tree unlocked. Channeling that weapon at Crucible encounters will unlock and reveal its tree, as well as allocating the first skill. You can only allocate one skill at each tree depth, so you'll need to decide which path through the tree is best for your build. As you get deeper into a tree, more and more experience is required to unlock skills.
Right.
The final depths can take quite an investment and can only be found rarely on endgame items.
This is such a
but also
good
have some of the
idea.
most powerful properties.
Gives you stuff to do,
For
you know?
example, this wand has 2 depth 5 skills to choose from. One of them allows all damage from your Freezing Pulse and Eye of Winter skills
only
to
choose
poison,
one, right?
and the other allows various brands to be attached to your Summoned Reaper. There are many such modifiers to skills that will enable very interesting build combinations.
That's some very OP shit.
In
I
addition
can
to all
guarantee it.
types of weapons, shields can also be
Wow.
empowered with their own Crucible trees.
Really? That's such a good
Here's
idea.
a relatively simple, low-level example. It gets a bit crazier as you approach the endgame.
Can you choose all the skill points? or
Speaking
just
of the endgame, in
only one
endgame
path?
Crucible encounters, you'll occasionally find igneous geodes, currency items that can be cracked open to reveal a primeval remnant. This is a map-like item that grants access to the Forge of the Titans, the culmination of your Crucible journey. These primeval remnants always generate as rare items. Half of their mods are upsides and half are downsides. The upsides generally increase the rewards of the area or add special crafting options. For example, causing monsters to drop divination cards or magmatic ore, a form of tradable itemized Crucible tree experience.
Oh,
The
okay.
downsides are quite punitive compared to most endgame maps. Ideally, you want to find a primeval remnant that is really rewarding upsides alongside downsides you can handle.
Right.
If you don't think you'll survive a visit to the Forge of the Titans, trade the remnant away to someone
Right.
else and gamble on cracking open another geode. If you survive and manage to reach the end of the area, you'll find the aforementioned forge, which allows you to merge Crucible trees on 2 items together.
What?
The way this process works is that you provide 2 items of the same class. For example,
lot of-
a
look at
pair
that
of
skill
bows,
tree.
a pair of shields, or a pair of one-hand axes. One of these items will be melted down and applied to the other, which will keep its regular properties. Their
Is it
Crucible
random?
trees will be merged together in an unpredictable way.
Which
taking
weapon, like,
elements
breaks
of
down?
each one. This is a little reminiscent of how recombinators applied to item mods, taking parts of each Crucible tree and merging them together, as well as randomly
Jesus
upgrading,
Christ.
downgrading, or mutating skills on the resultant tree.
That sounds
While
OP.
this process
This
can
is some
create some
crazy
really
shit.
powerful trees if you get skills you wanted from both items, it can also completely wreck your
Yeah,
precious trees.
true.
So take care choosing which you risk combining. Also, like recombinators, there are ways to manipulate the system to improve your odds at getting certain
it's
outcomes.
always the one at the bottom
For
that-
example,
the one at the top that
any
gets
skills that
melted.
have been allocated are more likely to show
it's
up
not
in the
random.
resultant Crucible tree.
Right.
By default, you can only add Crucible trees to non-unique items, but it's possible to get a mod on the Forge of the Titans map that allows you to imbue a unique item with a Crucible tree, which can then be leveled up
Jesus.
via regular Crucible encounters. To combine Crucible
Holy
trees on unique
shit.
items together, you'll want to find a crystalline geode and crack it open to reveal the secret higher-level version of the Forge of the Titans.
Of course.
I probably shouldn't say too much about it, but it will let you do some interesting things with Crucible trees.
Oh my god, people are gonna have a
There's an
field
important thing to note
day with
about
this
Crucible
one.
trees on unique weapons. In addition to being much harder to unlock, there's a special rule about how they can be combined. A unique weapon must be combined with another copy of the same unique weapon to merge their trees together.
That's cool.
Because this destroys one copy, getting a good Crucible tree on a unique weapon makes it insanely valuable. It may also raise the trade value of all unique weapons by quite a lot, as players sacrifice them trying to create perfect Crucible trees.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Occasionally, you'll find a Crucible passive skill tree with a special skill that indicates that the item will sell to vendors for a specific item in addition to its regular sale price. These vendor skills usually occur relatively deeply in the tree, so take some effort to allocate, but usually don't block skill choices you'd make when leveling the item up for use.
I see.
The presence of these skills presents
just
you with
like
an
sell
interesting
them, you know?
choice about whether you want to use the item or sell it to a vendor.
Right,
And whether you want to spend your Crucible experience either revealing new trees to hunt for good skills, leveling up items to use, or leveling up items to sell.
Right. Oh, that's
Crucible
cool.
also features its
Good
own
option.
unique items you can earn. For example, El Abin's Visage, a unique helmet, is special in that it's the only armor piece other than shields that can receive Crucible passive skill trees. Wearing it allows you to double down on certain properties that are only
Holy
available through
shit.
these trees. There are several other unique items exclusive to Crucible for you to discover in this league. Crucible is a dual combat crafting league with a focus on encounter difficulty scaling and deep weapon customization with a power level that we have never seen before. Without a
Yeah, I
doubt, some of
bet.
Path of Exile's most powerful weapons will be forged in Crucible.
Oh my
we
god,
can't
no
wait to
shit.
see what you manage to create.
I'm sure like people are gonna like go
Like
nuts
all
with this,
recent
man.
Path of Exile expansions, Crucible includes a lot of changes with the
Amazing,
goal of
amazing
improving
league,
Path of
wow.
Exile's endgame.
Just because you have something to like
One area we
strive
wanted
for,
to
you know,
address was
and
mobility on the Atlas passive
more
tree.
stuff to strive for.
Often, you'll find yourself in a situation where you want to specialize in leagues that are on entirely different sides of the Atlas tree.
Okay.
Or maybe you want to focus on the type of altar that isn't near the leagues you have picked. To solve this, Path of Exile Crucible introduces Atlas Gateways. These are nodes that you can allocate on the Atlas tree that allow instant travel between two locations.
Wow.
There are 3 pairs of gateways, each allowing travel from
That's
the left side of the
nice.
tree to the right side, or vice versa. Each
That's
end of the
nice.
gateway consumes 1 Atlas skill point to allocate, but will potentially save you large amounts of travel points.
That's fucking awesome. That's awesome, man.
In this expansion, we're targeting a couple of endgame leagues that have fallen behind other leagues on the Atlas tree.
Go on.
Let's start with Breach. In the live version of Path of Exile, there are 5 tiers of Breachstone. In
Oh,
Path of Exile
wow.
Crucible, we're raising the
graphics.
area levels of Breachstones to a much
For the
higher
Breach.
baseline level. 81 for elemental ones, 82 for physical, and 83 for
I
chaos.
haven't played the.
Now that the regular breachstones are much higher
Couple of
level,
leagues.
we have retired charged, enriched, and pure breachstones. They will be converted to regular ones.
Okay.
We have also changed how flawless breachstones are acquired. Previously, you could only get them from Maven invitations, but we prefer access to the hardest breach content to actually come from playing Breach.
True,
Now there
yeah,
are 2
makes
ways
sense.
to get flawless breachstones: through blessings, which are now rarer as a result, and through a skill on the Atlas tree.
5%
We've also
chance,
improved
not
the
bad.
pacing of breach encounters. Previously, breaches felt pretty good early on, but quickly tapered off in density to the point where you wanted to abandon the breach because it just felt like not enough monsters
That was
were
perfect.
spawning.
What are you talking about?
Our changes now keep breaches feeling dense throughout, leaning more on the side
Okay.
of it feeling overwhelming towards the end of the breach.
I see.
We have also reduced the duration of breaches so there is constant monster
Really?
pressure and you can get on with your mapping sooner.
Okay. that
There are a
makes
whole
sense.
bunch of other breach changes that you
mind
can
that.
read about in the patch notes, such as changes to the Betrayal Research Safe House, Breach Scarabs, Breach Stones from Kirik
Really?
missions, the Breach
Makes
Harvest
sense.
crafting option, the Fragment Stash tab, Divination cards, Breach unique
I do
items,
enjoy when
Atlas
Breach
passives,
drops like
and so
a
on.
billion monsters on you. It's the best.
We're also revamping Abyss in a similar way.
Oh?
Abyssal Depths now always contain an Abyssal Lich.
Oh.
Previously, the prevailing
cool.
gameplay was to check the loading screen art of an Abyssal Depths to see if it contained a Lich, and bail out if it didn't.
Oh, I didn't know
Now,
that.
the
That's
depths
such a
always
good idea.
contain a lich, removing the need for this step. While the
Nice.
rate of encountering abyssal liches is unchanged, abyssal depths are rarer than before. However,
Oh.
abysses now have a chance to spawn a Stygian Spire in place of their reward chest, which
is
will
that?
drop all of the jewels and other items you'd normally receive, as well as a
Oh,
Stygian Prize.
nice. Cool.
In
So you have to
addition,
go through
you're
the
guaranteed to
whole
always get a 4-hole abyss
bullshit of
alongside
doing
your
the
abyssal
breach.
depths.
The breach,
Previously,
the,
abyssal depths could
abyssal
only
depth.
spawn immediately after a single abyssal hole, which prevented you from getting full value from the abyss. The Lightless Legion notable passive has been replaced with a new skill which grants Stygian Spires in your maps drop items with +1 to item level.
Wow.
This is intended to allow players to continue to be able to obtain item level 86 Stygian Vices and other base types as a reward for specializing in Abyss. The small passives leading up to this notable passive have also been replaced. We've done a balance
10%
pass on
to,
Abyssal Lich
Aspire.
encounters to make them more appropriately difficult relative to the current standard of endgame encounters. Abyss uniques have had some balance attention also, and the details are in the patch notes.
Cool.
Overall, these changes should ensure you can
my
play a
build.
wider variety of leagues in the endgame,
No, actually, it's a whole
both through
different
being
build,
able to
but
access
looks
them
very
more
similar.
easily, and because Breach
Cyclone,
and Abyss now feel far
100%
more
spin to
modern
win.
and competitive with other popular league content.
I love it.
A big goal of the Crucible expansion is to
More
provide a lot of
improvements.
new ways to build characters,
Jesus.
and to breathe new life into older builds. To achieve this, we're doing two things.
Chris?
Firstly, we have created many more interesting options for one of Path of Exile's core build systems, the passive skill tree, by overhauling many of its masteries.
Really?
Secondly, we have revamped two specific ascendancy classes.
Oh.
As we reviewed the masteries on Path of Exile's passive skill tree, we realized that a lot of the choices were rather bland and could be a lot more exciting. We went through the masteries one by one and tried to come up with as many interesting stats as we could,
good.
ignoring what was currently there.
Nice.
Once we had a short list of high-quality stats, we added in the existing ones that used to be on each mastery and picked the 6 best. All of the leftover ones have been saved for later or used in places like unique items. This process was performed on approximately half of the masteries on the tree, initially targeting
Wow.
the ones that needed the attention the most.
Jeez.
Previously, some masteries only had 4 options, so we've tried to increase as many as possible to 6 options. We've also added a couple of new mastery types that we felt were missing. Let's look at an example, the life mastery choices. You can see some of the interesting new options, such as the ability to manipulate your low life and full life thresholds, which allows you to more effectively use the damage while on full life support gem and many
Unexpected.
unique items. Getting a
That's
large increase to
interesting.
maximum life when you have no life on your body armor not only works really well with a whole lot of unique items, but also opens up new prefix composition options for rare
Man,
body
that's
armors.
crazy though, man. There's so much shit
Here
going
you can
on.
see the armor and energy shield mastery has more options available than before.
I really appreciate this.
The other thing we focused on with this one is tying the mechanics together better. Instead of some being about armor and some being about energy shield, we've tried to make sure each really emphasizes having both armor and energy shield. On the Leech Mastery, we've combined the 3 increased life mana and energy shield recovery stats into one choice that affects all of them. The space we've freed up has been used to add some powerful new options, such as a portion of your Leech applying instantly.
Nice.
The Spell Suppression Mastery also has many interesting options. Your chance to suppress spell damage becoming lucky is extremely useful before you've optimized your gear and haven't reached 100% yet. The third option rewards you for stacking more than 100% spell suppression, which previously had few benefits. Now it's something you can plan your itemization around. While looking at masteries, we noted that there were some mechanics that didn't have enough passive tree support, so we decided to add some more options and passive skill choices for those mechanics.
Cool.
We also wanted to grant more access to certain types of masteries in specific parts of the passive skill tree. For example, in order to allow more access to the attack mastery, we've added an attack cluster by the Templar and one between the Ranger and Shadow. We wanted to create more access to other forms of recovery such as regen and recoup, so we've added some new passive skill clusters. Note that there is now a new mastery called Recovery. We've also added more capacity for investment in certain mechanics that we felt could be improved, such as link skills, stun mitigation, and marks. These mastery improvements and passive tree changes are just some of the ones introduced in Path of Exile Crucible. We look forward to your feedback on the rest when you check out the passive skill tree next week. While going through Ascendancy classes, we identified 2 that needed work, the Saboteur and the Pathfinder.
Oh.
Both have been significantly
Never
changed
played
in
them.
Path of Exile Crucible. These changes reinforce their respective
Slayer
identities
all the
while
way,
adding
baby.
some new options to build around. The Saboteur is definitely the Ascendancy class most aligned with traps and mines, but the old version of the Saboteur made it difficult to play anything but traps or mines. The new version has more builds available, including a whole new specialization, Triggers.
Oh.
There are 2 notable passives that help with this. Like Clockwork grants you the increased cooldown recovery rate stat, which is a pretty rare one. This is great for triggered spells as it indirectly increases their damage. This notable also makes your enemies have longer cooldowns, which can be useful in certain boss fights. For
Really?
example, causing the Maven's memory game to occur less often. The Perfect
Wow.
Crime notable passive summons 2 trigger bots, which override the location of where a triggered spell is being cast, and instead causes it to trigger twice, once from each of their locations.
That's new.
The layout for the Saboteur's Trap and Mine Ascendancy passives has changed, so that there aren't separate 4-pointers for traps and mines. Now each one has a 2-pointer that is connected to the same shared 4-pointer. We have also completely reworked Bomb Specialist to be specifically tied to area damage, so it's a slightly more general skill. It both gives you some area damage as well as some defense against incoming area damage against you.
Interesting.
The Pathfinder has been overdue for some attention, especially with recent features such as concoction skills that she could get the ability to specialize in. We also wanted the Flask-themed Ascendancy to have a proactive way of improving Life Flask usage. Master Distiller allows you to turn most of your skills into concoction-like effects. Master Surgeon now effectively gives all of your Life Flasks the Enduring effect, previously only found on Mana Flasks. Finally, both of the major Flask-themed branches now have some form of Flask Charge recovery.
Wow.
There are other improvements to the Pathfinder Ascendancy, such as Nature's Reprisal, now interacting with Wither to improve all forms of your Chaos damage, rather than just attack forms of it. Check out the full details in the patch notes that we'll be posting after the livestream.
Once again, some very cool updates, obviously. I mean...
Path of Exile Crucible introduces 9 new Val skills.
Hold on a second,
Last
there's more.
expansion, there was an emphasis on melee Val skills. In Crucible, we're making sure that many other types of builds get new skills to build around. Val skills let us introduce quite powerful effects that we couldn't normally give to a regular skill that can be used constantly. They also implicitly act as a buff to the underlying skill. Val Absolution upgrades one of your Sentinels of Absolution into an Apparition of Innocence.
Wow.
You can only have one apparition at once, but just check out these massive AoE skills it uses.
Yeah, you can see that. Jesus.
Val Arctic Armor instantly encases you in ice, preventing non-instant actions including movement, but granting massive damage reduction against hits. After a short duration, it also starts to regenerate your energy shield and mana at a fast rate. Both the damage reduction and regeneration
really
last for a few seconds,
bosses,
or until you've been hit 3 times.
Yeah,
it cannot be manually cancelled. Because the skill is instant, it's a great emergency button against dangerous boss slams.
This has
it
to
also
be like
makes
really
you
good
count
in
as being frozen,
hardcore, man.
despite Arctic Armor normally making you freeze immune. Having another way to self-freeze may be of interest to a few mad scientist build creators in the community.
I can bet.
Val Lightning Arrow fires a barrage of piercing projectiles that cause lightning to
That
strike
was
nearby
really
targets whenever they
cool.
hit an enemy. After a short amount of time, or when they collide with terrain, their arrows randomly change direction and continue flying.
Nice.
This occurs a number of times before the arrows expire.
Very cool.
Each arrow can hit the same target once per redirect.
Cool looking skill.
Because the arrows travel for a set time before redirecting, rather than a set distance, projectile speed modifiers affect the distance traveled. High projectile speed lets you clear out
That
huge
looks
areas
so
with
cool,
them, while
though,
reducing
man.
your projectile speed increases the chance of them hitting the same target multiple times. With very low projectile speed, the skill can hit a single target 20 plus times.
Ooh, holy crap, they look like a kill.
Val Reap conjures a ring of scythes that deal damage to all enemies in a circular area. The scythes leave behind a pool of
arrow
blood
skill
that
was
deals
really
heavy
cool, though.
physical
Really
damage over
enjoyed it.
time
Looks
to enemies
really
standing in
nice.
it, and for a short duration after they leave it. Val Reap instantly grants a large number of the blood charges used by normal Reap on use, as well as temporarily higher maximum blood charge capacity, substantially powering up the regular version of the skill. Path of Exile Crucible introduces 5 other Val skills we'll reveal over the next week.
Nice.
Val Animate Weapon, Val Domination, Val Ice Shot, Val Rejuvenation Totem, and Val Firestorm.
Cool.
This expansion also introduces more than 10 new unique items. There are 3 in particular I'd like to show you today.
Show me, Chris.
Blood Price is a unique helmet that has a new effect, reserving enemy maximum life. This does exactly what it implies, causing nearby enemies to start at 92% maximum life. While this increases your clear speed against all enemies, it's especially useful against bosses. The helmet's drawback is that it reduces your maximum life, but provides decent life regeneration and block and stun recovery to counteract this.
This mixed with like
Tainted Pact is an amulet that causes chaos
Strike,
damage
is
over
it?
time to heal you while you're leeching life. While the amulet provides a decent amount of life leech itself, it'll certainly require a few tricks to unlock its full potential.
Interesting.
Widow Hail is a unique bow that is different from any other bow in Path of Exile. As a weapon, it does basically no base damage and doesn't grant any stats of its own, but it does dramatically increase the power of mods provided by your quiver.
Yeah.
Needless to say, this could produce some pretty ridiculous outcomes with good rare or unique quivers.
Be completely useless
We'll
depending
reveal
on what
some
you're
of the
getting.
other new uniques over the coming week.
Interesting.
Ruthless is a game mode that we released alongside the Sanctum expansion late last year. It's designed around extreme item scarcity and is challenging because you're constantly behind the item power curve. So far, it has found a very passionate audience of players who love how rewarding item drops feel in such an austere environment. We have some small improvements to Ruthless and Path of Exile Crucible. Firstly, Eternal Orbs are back in Ruthless. These are an extremely powerful currency item that allows you to imprint an item and restore it if you're unhappy with the result of crafting. We disabled these game-wide 7 years ago because they were far too powerful when combined with all of the different crafting options Path of Exile offered at the time. Ruthless does not have the base game's crafting feature set, so we have enabled Eternal Orbs to drop in Ruthless, albeit extremely rarely. Ruthless now has its own set of challenges to complete.
Really?
Like the ones in early Path of Exile, there were a total of 8, and they're very difficult. Like we've done in the past, we're hosting a boss kill event at the start of the Crucible Challenge League. It'll be held in Ruthless Hardcore Solo Self-Found, and will require you to kill both the Uber-Searing Exarch and the Uber-Eater of Worlds, making it by far the hardest event we have ever run. The first place winner will get to work with our design team to add a new unique item to Path of Exile. They'll also receive a transferable Ultra VIP ticket to ExileCon in July. If they aren't able to attend or already have a ticket, then they are allowed to sell this one as they see fit.
Wow.
Second and third place finishers will receive a transferable VIP ticket to ExileCon that can also be sold at their discretion. If you'd like to enter the event, just create a character in Ruthless Hardcore Solo Self-Found on launch day.
Those are some really cool
Best
prizes,
of luck to everyone.
Those are some really
worthy prizes. On the weekend of July 29 to 30 New Zealand time, which is July 28 to 29 for much of the rest of the world, we're going to be hosting ExileCon 2023 in Auckland, New Zealand.
Probably going to see
While
like some
tickets
Path
to
of
the
Exile
in-person
too,
event
right?
are very hard to get, we'll be streaming the entire event for free.
Nice.
At ExileCon, we'll reveal our latest updates on Path of Exile 2, Path of Exile Mobile, and the next Path of Exile 1 expansion. Make a note in your calendar, tell your friends, and don't miss it. The second day of the Path of Exile livestream culminates in a competitive race event between some of Path of Exile's best players.
So it's going to be like
in
PvP,
order to select
like,
the 4 competitors, we're going to run qualifier events during the months of April and May. The winner of each event will receive a VIP ExileCon ticket, return flights to Auckland and accommodation, and will compete in the race event live on stage. All 4 qualifiers in the final event will be run on the 3.21 version of Path of Exile, which has received a fair amount of early game balance work that will change the racing meta quite a lot. You'll be able to read more in the patch notes. Once 3.21 releases next week, you'll be able to solve the new meta, practice hard, compete in the qualifier events, and hopefully win your place on stage in July.
It's nice to see, though.
Alongside Path of Exile Crucible, we're introducing a few new types of microtransactions.
New Battle Pass?
An example I wanted to describe today is that of mannequins. These are hideout decorations that you can place to show off sets of microtransactions you have assembled. You can equip them with your spare micros and pose them in various ways.
Cool.
It's also possible to swap your entire outfit with a mannequin's one, which lets you easily store micro sets to be retrieved later.
That's useful, yeah. Pay to win, you know? I'm joking. But that's very cool, that's very useful.
Other new microtransactions coming up include wrapping paper, which lets you gift wrap items to hand to other players, or even drop in town for random people to pick up.
Oh, nice, wow.
Today we're launching
Somebody
2 new series of support
items,
packs,
you know it.
the Lithomancer and Enchanter packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. These packs are only available for the duration of the Crucible League, and will leave the store forever when it ends. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Lithomancer series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions.
Magma armor.
The Tunnel Bear isn't just adorable, he will also take the place of the Crawler in Delves, lighting your surroundings and laying down cables.
That's interesting.
Apparently, this is what happens when your bear gets into a kilo of sulfite. Might explain what happened to Nico.
I got you. Nice reference.
The Ring of the Demon Slayer attempts to exorcise rare and unique demons when you hit them. The souls of defeated demons are banished to the depths below.
Interesting. Nice.
The ancient stone of the Lithomancer's armor set crumbles when you take damage, revealing the crimson core inside. The stone reforms if you haven't taken damage recently.
That's so interesting, man. I wish this was like base game, man.
A sip from the ancestral granite
or like
flask
a unique
causes
armor
a Karui ancestor to appear and surround you in protective wards.
Nice. Again, I wish this was like base game.
The ancestral portal encases you in molten armor when you travel through it. The summoned Karui ancestor rallies you to battle and honestly seems to have an unhealthy obsession with combat.
Go forth and conquer.
Cool, so
ever want to practice running away from volatiles? The gunpowder foot attachment straps explosives to your legs, dispersing lit gunpowder behind you. Be careful, you can only outrun it for so long before it catches up.
That's nice. This is like very cool for like, you know, speeding maps and shit, you know?
Also has 6 exclusive microtransactions.
Wow.
The Parrot of Exile pet parrots your exile. We'll just let it speak for itself.
What?
It would be wrong to do that here.
Wrong.
That's
I need
awesome.
more mana.
That's awesome.
Drinking from the bottled storm jade flask encases you in a surging tornado.
That's some
churning up
really
the
good
ground in
ideas
your
with
wake.
these microtransactions, I gotta say, though. They're
If you
very
stand
cool.
perfectly still while wearing the enchanted armor set, it will attract butterflies to flutter around you. Be careful not
Nice.
to disturb them.
Of course.
Sick of high-fiving giant purple appendages?
Maybe.
The Ritualist's Breach Ring visually transforms breaches you find into occult summoning circles.
That looks freaking awesome, man. The color, just
The
the color
Enchanter's
difference.
crafting bench replaces the normal crafting bench in your hideout with a suite of tools fit for a master artisan. The various crafting stations burst into life as you use them.
Oh, wow.
If you've ever wanted to remind your character who's really in
That's
charge, the
funny.
Puppeteer's back attachment has you covered. It truly is the sinister presence pulling the strings.
That's funny, though.
These new packs are available right now at
This stuff is
pathofexile.com/purchase.
really good, man.
Purchases like these directly fund the ongoing development of Path of Exile 1 and 2.
Yeah, obviously, that's like the
Meanwhile,
whole
the
thing.
Forge
you know?
and Gemling packs leave the store forever at the launch of the Crucible League, so now's your last chance to
Yeah.
purchase them. Thank you for your continued support.
It supports the game, I get it. But I really wished it was part of the actual game. Because so much crazy shit. Like, for example, that could be like a unique armor. The parrot could be like something you find in game, but obviously I understand they gotta they gotta make money somehow. They gotta support the game somehow. It's by buying this stuff. But there's some really, you know what it is? Because a lot of these packs, a lot of these battle passes you see online, they're like very lame and very basic. They have some really cool ideas with this one, replacing the cart with a bear. I mean, who would have thought of that, right? And it works so well, man. But anyways, once again, a huge patch from Path of Exile with like a million improvements. Every single time I see one of these, I just makes me want to play the game because there's so much new stuff in it. It's like a whole new experience, right? But unfortunately, I'm very busy at the moment. But man, the league itself looks good as well. I can picture the insane OP weapons you can come up with. At the same time, you got experience now. You got experience for your character to level up, for your skill points, for your passive tree. You got experience. You got like your atlas to level up, and now you got your weapons to level up. It's just like more leveling up, which just adds to the fun, right? Because whenever you level something up, you get like a new skill tree or maybe like a new skill or something, a new skill period. So it always like pushes you moving forward. I really appreciate that from Path of Exile that they're not half-assing things and they're not like making things easy. They're making it more and more complicated, and it might be a bit hard to get to, but once you do, it's so rewarding. A simple game, you play it a couple hours, you're bored. Path of Exile, I can play it for hours non-stop, and I did. And there's always like more. There's like more. So, man, freaking awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you. Peace.